no one's been there, so we don't know for sure, I guess. Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I am doing a book review of The Last Watch by J.S. Dawes, which is a sci-fi space opera from 2021, published by Tor. So, like an old car, The Last Watch takes a bit to get started, but once the engine is revving, it rolls out of the garage to reveal a full-bodied, exciting ride. So what is The Last Watch about? The Divide. It's the edge of the universe. Now it's collapsing and taking everyone and everything with it. The only ones who can stop it are the Sentinels, the recruits, exiles, and court-martialed dregs of the military. At the Divide, Adequin Rake commands the Argus. She has no resources, no comms, nothing except for the soldiers no one wanted. Her ace in the hole could be Cavalon Mercer, genius, asshole, and exiled prince who nuked his grandfather's genetic family for reasons. She knows they're humanity's last chance. I really liked this book. I didn't love it because it took far too long to get going for me, but it's definitely an entertaining and fun ride by the end. I think the second one, I'm assuming, will start fairly close to the action at the end of the first, and so then it won't have this kind of carburetor on a cold morning delay. I think it'll jump right into the action, and I think I might end up liking the second one better if I get around to reading it. The plot is very simple, but there are lots of kind of steps in the plot. And I liked the world building in the story as well. Given it's set 1,000 years in the future, we have interesting things called imprints that a lot of people have kind of embedded in their flesh. I'm assuming there's some sort of nanotech. They somehow, give their users boosts to strength and speed, that we're not really told how. And there's, FTL ships and gates to jump around in the galaxy, things like that. There's also a plot with an abandoned, not derelict, just not working, space station, which is kind of where most of the story takes place and where the story really took off for me. What I liked best about the world building was that not everything was explained. We're left to infer things here and there about the universe that made it feel more expansive, and it didn't fill the book with a bunch of info dumps, which was nice. Yet where I could have used a bit more kind of info dumping almost was backstory on the characters. This is definitely a plot-driven over character-driven story, as we're only given a few details here and there about the characters. I mean, two of the characters get a lot more than others, and the characters were well defined by how they act and kind of what they say, so they're likable and fun to read. I could understand kind of like their deal, but everything about them is kind of surface level. We do get more, as I said, about two of the characters, Adequin and Cavalon, because, the story is third person limited to them. I just kind of wish it was third person limited to maybe a couple more characters, like Emery, Puck, and even Mesa, whom I didn't feel I knew very well. I can tell you a few things about them, but I didn't feel like I knew anything about their, what they were doing in the story, like why they were where they were. Perhaps it's because it becomes apparent later on in the story that those sent to crew the Divide aren't criminals so much as dissenters, so maybe we're not given insight into their backstories to save those reveals to book 2. If this is the case, I don't particularly like that. As a reader, going into a book that it's book 1, but I don't want it to feel like a book 1. I don't want to feel like there's intentionally things left out simply to get me to read book 2. I mean, maybe the book is not doing that. Maybe there just wasn't space, so I'm not sure how, for for more character development on the part of these other characters. But I don't know, that kind of annoyed me slightly. I also found that how Adequin reacted to an incident at the start of the story didn't really fit with her long history in a military background. And nothing later in the story kind of explained that reaction. I just don't think her reaction to certain things made a lot of sense. And then Cavalon, who's quite young, he's not as cocky as the back cover makes you think, which was good because I didn't dislike him, because sometimes I hate deliberately cocky characters. But he just seems to be able to fix every problem they come across with, like, his multiple random degrees. So that kind of just was like, oh, he just knows how to fix everything. That's kind of convenient. Yet the action scenes are really fun, and the story moves at a great pace that you don't really notice this stuff until you sit back and think about it at the end. There are references to aliens in the book, but unfortunately they are the evil aliens hell-bent on humanity's genocide type of alien rather than a more complex alien. As you know, I prefer an alien menace that has a more purposeful reason for fighting humankind, but maybe we'll get more of their motivations in later novels. Maybe it's more complex than just they're on a murderous rampage. Now, what did I really like about the book? Because I did really like it as much as I'm critiquing it. The action scenes, as I said, are fantastic. They're well described, intense, and full of interesting twists. I really liked the action in this book. I liked the love story between Rake and Griffin, or whatever his name is. Soldiers who are soldiers in love is a trope I'm very fond of. You know, the Forever War has a great one, as does the Alien versus, oh, it's right here. The Aliens versus Predator, this series by Tim Levin. There's a cute love story in that too. And of course, Starship Troopers, the movie, that has a great love story. I also liked in the book that Rake is an older woman and there's no need to make her sexy. That was good. Another thing is I have a non-problematic crush on the character Jaqen. I just liked him. I really liked Emery's personality. You know, she's snarky, she chomps her gum all the time, she's too mouthy for her own good, mainly because it reminded of me of what I was like at 19, so I liked her. I like that there are hints that Cavalon is queer, but that's not a major part of his personality, nor are we told that overtly. It's just kind of some of the things he says. I'm kind of like, maybe he's gay or bi. I really liked how the imprints are described as moving around on the body. It's really fun. I loved how humans took on the technology of the Viators, those are the evil aliens, and incorporating them into their own technology. We don't often see that. Usually it's just like, their technology is so good, how do we fight it? But I like that they kind of took that on and used it. And despite these aliens trying to kill all of humanity, we can still use their technology. I like that. It seems like a mature thing to do. I also really like the subtle attraction between Puck and Mesa. It's funny. It's like I wasn't too fond of the big things in the story, but the little things are just fantastic and a lot of fun. There were some more things about the novel that seemed odd to me. These aren't like problems. They're just things that I was just kind of like, that's weird. So there's a cavity search at the start. It's pretty much on the first page. I'm not spoiling anything. And it seemed absolutely unnecessary. Given, it's 1,000 years in the future, you think they'd have some technological way of doing that instead. Yeah, I was just like, oh, this seems like an unnecessary thing. And this is something that always irks me, and this is when books set in the future use gendered language. This book is full of man this and mankind, which I was like, even mankind, I was like, really? I don't know, this might not seem like a big deal to you, but I grew up with fireman and policeman when I was a child, which made it seem like women in those fields were rare and out of the ordinary, that they were an aberration. So my daughters, who are, 4 and 2 now, them growing up with police fighter, firefighter and police officer, that matters. Language matters. And it just annoys me. Like when I'm reading classic sci-fi, obviously everything's going to say mankind and man or whatever. But it's very easy to replace man with crude and mankind with humankind. Another thing that kind of was weird to me was the whole edge of the universe. Maybe I'm confused, but there is no edge of the universe. The universe is everything. Uni meaning one. It is the universe. The only way we get more universe is with multiverse theory, which is more like alternate dimensions, to simplify it extremely. Anyway, that aside, I was also under the impression that the edge of the galaxy is just like the edge of one town into another. You don't see nothing. You see the next galaxy over. It wouldn't just be blackness. You'd still see stars. No one's been there, so we don't know for sure, I guess. Overall, if you're looking for a really fun space opera that has a touch of military sci-fi, big world build, and fun characters, The Last Watch is definitely worth a read. It just has some little picky details, and I think it's a debut as well, so that might be part of it as well. So if you've read this, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. I will say that if I had to give it stars, I'd give it 4. So just because I'm critiquing it doesn't mean that I think there's anything wrong with it. Yeah, and I'll definitely read book 2 at some point. So thanks.